How's it going, guys? We're back again with the next tier list video in our series here. So this time we're going to go through the electric type Pokemon and Pokemon TCG Pocket. Now there aren't that many, but I will say the options that we do have here are pretty interesting. And you know what? I just had some a fresh bowl of pasta, so I'm feeling kind of generous today. So a lot of these guys may not end up too low. So let's get into this. All right. Starting off in the I'm Good Fam tier, we have just two guys. So we're gonna have Zapdos in here. Now Zapdos is not particularly impressive. I thought it was better at first. I had to take a double take when I was reading it, but yeah, it's 3 energy for 100 damage, which is actually not too bad for a basic Pokemon. If you're getting 100 damage off of 3 energy consistently, that's pretty decent. The problem here is he also does 30 damage to one of your own bench Pokemon in a game where a lot of the HPs aren't particularly high, so it's a pretty tough sell. And also, additionally onto that, it's not exactly the easiest thing to get 3 energies on this. So overall, I don't think it's particularly good or consistent or really worth the 30 damage to your bench. So it's going down into the I'm good fam tier, and I'm passing on that one. The next one is Heliolisk. This guy's kind of interesting, but he's just inconsistent. It's 2 colors energy for 40 damage. He's got 90 HP, and he is stage 1, so you have to evolve into him. The problem is I'm not a big fan of the inconsistent attacks. You know, if you're in a game where there's not that many prize cards or prize points, and the damage output is quite slim. You know, I whenever I see this 40 for 50% chance of another 40, I'd rather just go for something consistent. You know, if you're playing multiple games, you're gonna end up missing it half the time anyway. So you might as well have the game be less luck based, more skill, you know. So I'm putting in the I'm good fam tier. Moving on to the next tier, the mid tier, we're gonna start off with Zipstrika. So Zipstrika is alright, you know, 1 energy, 30 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon is nice. You can snipe people in the back, or you can choose to attack the front if you'd like. It's just a little bit low for having to evolve into it. I don't think it's that bad though. I think it's alright. I think it's serviceable. And for that reason, I think it's in the mid tier. I think it'd be great if it's partnered with something else that's able to put a little more damage, but not quite finish off things itself. After that, we're gonna throw Electabuzz on here. Electabuzz is it's all right. Again, 2 energy, flip a coin. And if you get heads, it'll do 40 more damage. If you get tails, it'll do 20 damage to itself. Now, the difference between this and Heliolisk is the fact that it's a basic Pokemon, so you don't have to worry about evolution, so it doesn't take up too much space in your deck. I think that it is interesting, usable. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's inconsistent, and I don't particularly like inconsistency that much. But for that reason, it's not in the solid tier. But it is good. It is good enough to be in the mid tier, I'd say, and that's where it's going to firmly sit for me at least. Next up, we have Zapdos EX. Now, Zapdos EX is better than regular Zapdos. Again, it just has the problem with inconsistency. It takes 1 energy to do 20, which is, you know, and you mean maybe you can throw that down every now and again to finish things off guaranteed if it has just a little bit of HP remaining. But the attack you're most likely going to be using is Thundering Hurricane, which is you flip 4 coins and you get 50 for each heads. So in some cases you might get 0, in some cases you might get 200, and it's one of the highest attacks in the game. You're going to average out to be about 100 though, overall. Now you're flipping enough coins that I feel a bit more comfortable using this than I would be feeling than using like most of the other coin flip attacks in this game. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be something I rely on. I would rather have something that I know would KO the opponent rather than risk it. But I think it is interesting, and 3 energy is not impossible to do. So for that reason, I think it's in the mid tier. It could be be very solid if you have a lot of good luck. Could be the worst card in the game if you have horrible luck. So you know, I feel like mid is fair enough. And then the final card for the mid tier is going to be Pikachu EX, which is 2 energy, does 30 damage for the number of bench Pokemon you have. So maximum of 90. So 2 for 90 is alright on a basic Pokemon. It's pretty good. It's a bit risky given the fact that it's a 2-prizer. I'm not sure that I'd want to have a 120 HP 2-prize Pokemon. But, you know, it's not terrible. It could certainly get you some early game KOs. Maybe it helps push you along to the late game if they have a slow start. I don't know. I think it's okay, and for that reason, it's gonna be in the mid. It's gonna be in the mid tier. Moving on to the solid tier. Now I'm gonna throw a controversial one in there already, because I know what I just said about coin flips and me not liking inconsistency. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm throwing Pincher in there. It's probably somewhere at the bottom of solid, maybe in mid tier. But I'm convinced that you throw one copy of this guy in a deck, it could be your one out, your one case situation to how you win a game. 2 energy, 30 damage, coin flip for paralysis. Paralysis is really good. You hit a fully evolved Pokemon with this, they can't do anything in the next turn. There's no switch cards at the time of this recording. I think that given the current meta and the current limited card supply, this card's really good. The minute they release a switch card, that card is not very helpful. This card is going to be knocked down to probably I'm good fam tier. But as of right now, because there are no switch cards, sleep and paralysis and confusion for that matter are all really really good. Especially sleep and paralysis though. So for the time being, I am firm in believing that this card is going to be decent, even if it's only a 50% chance, because it can certainly turn a game around for you. In a similar vein, we have Electros. This one has admittedly a lot more investment to it. 3 energy, 80 damage, coin flip for paralysis. Now, this is a stage 2, so you have to evolve into it. 3 energy is not too terrible. It's certainly not exactly ideal, but it's not horrible. The damage output, I would be nice if it was a little bit higher, around 90 or 100. You're not going to get that, so you know what? You have to make do. And 80 is probably the best you're going to get for an attack that can potentially get paralysis. Again, you paralyze a guy, it's basically a second round of attacks for you. You can do 160 if you get lucky in a coin flip. Again, inconsistent. That's why it's in the bottom solid tier, but I think it's fairly cool. Now moving on to the next one, another coin flip. This is Jolteon. It's very similar to Zapdos, although it takes less energy, and does a little bit less damage. 4 coins, 40 damage a pop. You do an average of 80, can high roll to 160. Now, I think that's pretty decent. It's got a one retreat cost, low HP, so it can get easily knocked out. But it's only 2 energy to pull this attack off, and for that reason, I think it's pretty easy to put into solid tier, because you're going to be doing good damage for only 2 energy consistently. Well, consistently enough, at least to have 50% on. At least most of the time, you're getting 80 damage. Now, after him, we're going to throw Electrode. Now, Electrode, the reason he's here instead of mid tier is because of that free retreat cost. I talked about before in the water video, but free retreat is a very, very, very good thing to have in this game. With the damage outputs being as low as they are right now, if your Pokemon can survive and you can get out of the active without having to spend any energy and still have energy on that guy to come back in and maybe KO something later, it's very, very good. Additionally, this pairs very well with the Lieutenant Surge support card that lets you move energy onto him. So that's why he's gonna end up here. After that, we have Magneton. Now, Magneton is one of the few Pokemon in the game that has any energy acceleration at all, which is why it's here. It allows you once per turn to grab a electric energy from your energy zone and attach it to it directly. Now, you'll see that 4 energy for 60, that's horrible. You're not attacking with this guy. You're using Lieutenant Surge to move energy off of him onto either your Raichu, Electrode, or Electabuzz. But this is your way of getting energy relatively consistently onto your Pokemon, so which is why he's in the solid tier. And then, of course, the reason that you're going to be playing Magneton is the reason that Raichu is at the very top. Now, Raichu does really good damage for 140, and it discards all the energy off him. So the way this works is you play the Magnetons on your bench. So ideally you have both 2 of them, and then you have your Raichu in the active. You use the ability of Magnetons, attach 2 energy, and then after that you play your Lieutenant Surge, move the energy onto the Raichu, attach 1 by hand, or sorry, from the energy zone, and then deal 140. And then you do the same thing again next turn. It's pretty solid. Now, you can't pull this off every single turn because you only have 2 Lieutenant Surges in the deck. It may not be the most consistent, but this isn't the only thing you're probably attacking with. You'd be playing this with something else, ideally. But I think having that potential to do 140 is pretty solid. Maybe you want to play this with a Zapdos. Maybe you want to play this with Pikachu EX, given how much stuff you have on the bench. I'm not sure, but this is the interesting part of it, that it has the potential to do really strong burst damage, which is why it's going to be at the top of solid. And that wraps up all the electric Pokemon for Pokemon TCG Pocket. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Whether or not you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments down below. Uh, if you have any disagreements, please tell me why. I'm curious, and maybe I'll move some stuff around later. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.